When I first heard the term AI agent, I thought it was just another buzzword, another thing people throw around to sound smart. But then I actually looked into it, and I realized this is genuinely different. This is not just Chat GPT. This is not just typing a question and getting an answer back. AI agents are something else entirely, and once you understand what they actually are, you're going to see why the people who learn this early are going to have a massive advantage. And by the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly what they are, why they matter, and how you can actually use them. Because nobody explained this properly when I first started looking into it, so I'm going to do it right. Now, before we get into it, I want to be clear. I'm going to keep this simple. No complicated technical jargon, just exactly what you need to know, laid out in a way that actually makes sense. Because that's how I wish someone had explained this to me. Let's get into it. So let's start with the most basic question. What actually is an AI agent? Think of it like this. You know how when you hire someone to work for you, you give them a set of tasks, you give them the tools they need to do the job, and then they go and get it done? That's basically what an AI agent is. Except this employee never sleeps, never gets tired, never forgets anything, never goes off script, and costs a fraction of what an actual human would cost you. Now, I know that sounds almost too good to be true, but stay with me here because this is where it gets really interesting. A regular AI tool, like ChatGPT for example, you ask it something, it gives you an answer, and that's it. The conversation ends there. You have to copy that answer, go somewhere else, paste it, do something with it yourself. You're still doing all the heavy lifting. An AI agent is completely different. It doesn't just give you an answer. It actually goes and does the thing. It can access your email. It can look at your calendar. It can pull information from the internet. It can send messages. It can update your spreadsheets, all on its own, without you having to sit there and manage every single step. So the difference is massive. A regular AI tool gives you information. An AI agent takes action. And that's the key distinction you need to understand before anything else. Write that down if you have to. Regular AI gives you information. AI agents take action. Okay, so now let us look at how AI agent actually works. And I'm not going to go deep into the technical side of this because, honestly, you don't need to know all of that to start using them or building them. But you do need to understand the basic concept. So every AI agent has two core things. It has a brain and it has tools. The brain is the AI model powering it, something like GPT or Claude. This is what lets it reason, make decisions, understand context, and figure out what to do next. This is what separates an AI agent from a basic automation that just follows a rigid set of rules. Because the brain can actually think, it can handle situations that aren't black and white. It can adapt when something unexpected happens. And then you've got the tools. The tools are what the agent actually uses to go and do things in the real world. So you might give it access to your email platform, your CRM, your calendar, a web browser, a Google Sheet, whatever it is that the agent needs to complete the tasks you're giving it. And when you combine a brain that can reason with tools that can take action, that's when things get really powerful. Here's a simple way to think about it. Imagine you hired someone new. On their first day, you sit them down and you say, "Okay, here's your job. Here are the tools you need to do it. Here's how I want things done." And then they just go and do it. That's exactly what an AI agent is. You give it instructions, you give it tools, and it executes. The beautiful part is, once you set it up, it just runs. You don't have to babysit it. You don't have to check in every 5 minutes. It's working even when you're not. Now here's the part I really want you to pay attention to, because this is the reason I'm making this video. We are at a very unique moment right now. AI agents are not new. They've been around in some form for a while. But what's new is how accessible they've become. A year ago, building an AI agent required serious technical knowledge. You had to know how to code. You had to understand complex systems. It wasn't something the average person could just sit down and figure out. That's not the case anymore. Right now, there are tools out there that let you build and deploy AI agents with zero coding experience. Platforms that are so intuitive, you can have something up and running within a day. And the people who figure this out early, the people who learn how to build these things and implement them before everyone else catches on, those are the people who are going to be way ahead. Think about it like this. When social media first became a thing, the people who jumped on it early and learned how to use it for business, those people won. By the time everyone else caught up, they already had the audience, the brand, the leverage. The same thing is happening right now with AI agents. The wave is just starting to build, and you can either get on it now or watch it from the shore later wondering why you didn't move sooner. I'm not saying this to hype you up. I'm saying this because the data backs it up. Interest in AI agents has literally skyrocketed over the past year alone, and it's still early. This is still the beginning.
Now, I want to address something because I see this come up all the time when people first learn about AI agents. And it's this idea that you need to be a developer or a tech person to use them or build them. That is completely false. And I get why people think that. A year or two ago, it was actually kind of true. But the tools that exist today have completely changed the game. Platforms like Make, Zapier, and others have made it so that building an agent is more like putting together a workflow than writing code. You're connecting pieces. You're giving instructions. You're setting up logic. But you're not sitting there writing Python or dealing with complicated back-end stuff. If you can use a smartphone, if you can use Instagram, you can learn how to build a basic AI agent. It genuinely is that accessible now. And I think this matters because the barrier that most people think exists, it's not actually there anymore. The only real barrier is just not knowing where to start, which is exactly why I'm breaking all of this down for you today.
Now, I want to address something because I see this come up all the time when people first learn about AI agents. And it's this idea that you need to be a developer or a tech person to use them or build them. That is completely false. And I get why people think that. A year or two ago, it was actually kind of true. But the tools that exist today have completely changed the game. Platforms like Make, Zapier, and others have made it so that building an agent is more like putting together a workflow than writing code. You're connecting pieces, you're giving instructions, you're setting up logic, but you're not sitting there writing Python or dealing with complicated back-end stuff. If you can use a smartphone, if you can use Instagram, you can learn how to build a basic AI agent. It genuinely is that accessible now. And I think this matters because the barrier that most people think exists, it's not actually there anymore. The only real barrier is just not knowing where to start, which is exactly why I'm breaking all of this down for you today. So let's talk about actually getting started. Because I don't want this to just be a video you watch and then forget about. I want you to walk away from this with a clear next step. Here's what I'd recommend. First, identify one repetitive task in your life or your business that takes up time and requires some level of thinking. Not something completely creative or complex, something that follows a pattern. Outreach emails, responding to common customer questions, summarizing information, scheduling, something like that. Second, go and explore one of the no-code agent building platforms. Just pick one. Make is a great starting point. Spend a couple of hours just exploring it. Watch some tutorials. Get familiar with how it works. You don't need to build anything perfect on day one. You just need to start getting comfortable with the environment. Third, build something simple. Even if it's not perfect, even if it only saves you 30 minutes a week, build it anyway. Because once you see it working, once you see an agent actually going and doing something on its own, something clicks. And then you start seeing opportunities everywhere. The people who win with AI agents are not necessarily the most technical people. They're the people who took action early, who experimented, who weren't afraid to build something imperfect and figure it out as they went. That's it. That's all it takes to get started. Look, I know there's a lot of information out there about AI, and it can feel overwhelming. That's literally why I made this video. Because when I was first trying to understand all of this, I couldn't find anyone breaking it down in a way that actually made sense to me. AI agents are not some far-off futuristic concept. They're here, right now. They're being used right now by businesses of all sizes to save time, cut costs, and do things at a scale that wasn't possible before. And the barrier to entry has never been lower. So the real question is, what are you going to do with that? Because the opportunity is there. The tools are there. The only thing left is for you to go and take it. If you found this helpful, make sure you drop a comment below and let me know what you want me to cover next. I'm going to keep making videos on this stuff specifically for people who are new to the space, breaking it all down in a simple, practical way. So if that's something you're into, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss anything. I'll see you in the next one.